.NET Technical Interview Questions and Answers. 1. Explain the concept of reflection in .NET. Reflection in .NET allows inspecting and accessing types, properties, methods, and other metadata at runtime. It provides the ability to analyze and manipulate code and objects dynamically. Reflection is often used for tasks such as loading types dynamically, invoking methods based on their names, and reading attributes. 2. What is the purpose of the yield keyword in C#? The yield keyword in C# is used to create iterator blocks, also known as lazy sequences. It allows the method to return a sequence of values without the need to build and store the entire sequence in memory. The iterator block generates the values one at a time as they are requested, which can improve performance for large datasets. 3. What is the difference between the throw and throw-x statements in C# exception handling? Throw. The throw statement is used to rethrow the current exception without losing the original stack trace. It preserves the original exception's call stack, making it easier to diagnose the exception. Throw-x. The throw-x statement rethrows the exception, but it discards the original exception's stack trace. Instead, it starts a new stack trace from the point where the current exception was thrown. This can make it difficult to trace the root cause of the exception. 4. What is the role of the Configuration Manager class in .NET? The Configuration Manager class in .NET is used to access configuration settings defined in the application's configuration file, app.config or web.config. It allows developers to read and modify key value settings from the configuration file, such as connection strings, app settings, and custom settings. 5. Explain the purpose of the Task Parallel Library, TPL. In .NET, the Task Parallel Library, TPL, in .NET provides a higher-level abstraction for working with multi-threading and parallelism. It allows developers to write concurrent code more easily by using tasks and task-based parallelism. TPL includes features like the task and task classes, which simplify the creation and management of asynchronous and parallel operations. 6. What are the different types of joins in LANQ? In LANQ, the common types of joins are: inner join, returns matching rows from both tables based on a specified condition; left outer join, or left join returns all rows from the left table and matching rows from the right table based on a specified condition. If there is no match, the result contains null values for the right table columns. Right outer join, or right join similar to the left join, but it returns all rows from the right table and matching rows from the left table. Full outer join, or full join returns all rows when there is a match in either the left or right table. If there is no match, the result contains null values for the non-matching table columns. 7. Explain the concept of multi-threading in .NET. Multi-threading in .NET allows multiple threads to execute concurrently within the same process. Each thread represents a separate flow of execution that can run independently and share the same resources. Multi-threading is used to perform tasks in parallel, improving application responsiveness and performance. 8. What is the purpose of the using statement with SQL connection in ADO.NET? The using statement with SQL connection in ADO.NET ensures that the SQL connection object is disposed of properly after its usage. It automatically calls the dispose method on the SQL connection, which closes the connection and releases any unmanaged resources associated with it. Properly disposing of the SQL connection helps to free up resources and prevent connection leaks. 9. Explain the concept of partial classes in C#. Partial classes in C# allow a class to be defined in multiple separate files. The partial keyword is used to split the class into multiple parts. All parts must have the same accessibility and be part of the same namespace and assembly. Partial classes are often used to separate auto-generated code, example from a designer, from developer-written code, making it easier to manage and maintain large classes. 10. What is the purpose of the dispose pattern in C#? The dispose pattern in C# is used for proper resource management, particularly when dealing with unmanaged resources like file handles, database connections, or network sockets. It involves implementing the iDisposable interface and providing a dispose method to release and clean up unmanaged resources explicitly. The dispose pattern is often used in conjunction with the using statement for automatic disposal of resources. 11. Explain the concept of the cancellation token source and cancellation token in C#. The cancellation token source is a class in C# used to create a cancellation token, which is used to request the cancellation of asynchronous operations. When an asynchronous method receives a cancellation token as a parameter, it can check if cancellation has been requested and stop processing if needed. The cancellation token source allows for controlling and canceling multiple tasks or operations simultaneously. 12. What are the different types of design patterns in software development? In software development, there are several types of design patterns, including creational patterns. These patterns deal with object creation mechanisms such as singleton, factory, and builder patterns. Structural patterns. These patterns focus on class composition and object relationships such as adapter, decorator, and facade patterns. Behavioral patterns. These patterns are concerned with communication and interaction between objects such as observer, strategy, and command patterns. 13. Explain the concept of entity framework, EF. In .NET, entity framework, EF, is an object relational mapping, ORM, framework in .NET that enables developers to work with relational databases using .NET objects. It allows developers to use domain-specific classes and LANQ queries to interact with databases, eliminating the need for writing raw SQL queries. EF handles the mapping between the database and the objects, making database interactions more intuitive and less error-prone. 14. What is the purpose of the assembly in .NET? An assembly in .NET is a compiled unit of code that contains metadata about types, resources, and references needed for execution. It is the smallest unit of deployment and versioning in .NET and can be either a dynamically linked library, DLL, or an executable, EXE. Assemblies facilitate versioning, code access security, and code reuse in .NET applications. 15. Explain the concept of dependency injection, DI, in .NET Core. Dependency injection, DI, in .NET Core is a design pattern that allows classes to receive their dependencies from external sources rather than creating them internally. In DI, dependencies are injected into a class, often through constructor injection, property injection, or method injection. DI promotes loose coupling between classes, making code more modular, maintainable, and testable. 16. What is the purpose of the task delay method in C#? The task delay method in C# is used to introduce a delay in asynchronous operations. It returns a task that completes after a specified time delay. Task delay is useful when you want to introduce a pause or wait period in asynchronous code without blocking the thread. 17. Explain the concept of code access security, CAS. In .NET, code access security, CAS, in .NET is a security model that helps protect the resources and operations of an application by controlling the permissions granted to code based on its origin and identity. CAS enables administrators to define security policies that determine the level of trust given to assemblies based on their source and location. CAS was more prevalent in earlier versions of .NET but has been largely deprecated in favor of other security mechanisms. 18. What are extension methods in .NET? Extension methods allow developers to add new methods to existing classes or interfaces without modifying their original source code. Extension methods are defined as static methods in a static class and are marked with the this keyword before the first parameter, specifying the type to which the method is extended. Extension methods provide a way to enhance existing types without subclassing or modifying their code. 19. Explain the concept of code contracts in .NET. Code contracts in .NET are used to define preconditions, postconditions, and object invariants in the code. Preconditions specify conditions that must be true when entering a method, while postconditions specify conditions that must be true when exiting a method. Object invariants define conditions that must be true for an object's state during its lifetime. Code contracts help in documenting and verifying the correctness of code and can be checked at runtime or during static analysis. Explain garbage collection in .NET. Garbage collection is an automatic memory management process in .NET. It identifies and frees up memory occupied by objects that are no longer in use by the application. The garbage collector periodically scans the managed heap and deallocates memory from objects that have no references, thus preventing memory leaks. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell notification icon for our upcoming updates.